Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to this new video. Today we will be painting a mountain landscape in watercolors. The first step is always to find the inspiration, and sometimes I find it in my old paintings. I am just going through some of these old paintings which I have done in the past month, and honestly few of them are from a couple of years back. After this, I browsed through Unsplash. It's a platform where you can get royalty free references for your paintings. I usually take couple of them and make one painting on my own. So for today, I have chosen this reference photo. First off, I am preparing my surface. This is a watercolor pad which is open on the three sides, and I am using masking tape to tape it down, and this will also give me a gorgeous border in the painting. We will start the painting with a rough sketch. About the sketch, now you must understand that we are not doing actual sketching, but this is only a rough sketch, which will be a guide or a map for our painting. If your pencil marks are dark, you can use a kneadable eraser to lighten the graphite marks, but I am using a very light hand for the sketching, and I am quite sure this will hide behind the painting. I will wet the full surface of this paper, and I'm using a lot of water because I want to cover a larger space. The first layer will be wet on wet, and this layer will be very light. I'm using less pigment and a lot of water, so the mixture is quite diluted. At this stage, I do not worry about any details, but I do focus on the larger shapes. I squint my eyes and I see for the larger shapes and try to map it out in the paper. Once I am satisfied with my first layer, I let it dry completely. Today, I didn't wait it for the drying process. I simply used a hair dryer to dry the surface so that I can quickly finish the painting. Once my surface is dry, I go ahead and use the wet on dry technique. I'm painting in small areas because I do not want the mountain to look flat. So I'm painting in small areas and using different colors in my palette. At this stage, wherever I'm seeing that the paint is still wet, I am going ahead with a, you know, darker pigment so that I get these beautiful blooms, uh, some splashes on the wet surface, and it gives me beautiful effect. I always paint with intuition, and there is no hard and fast rule which I follow. Whatever I see, I paint from my heart, and even with the colors, it's intuition. I have been doing this for quite some time, and I don't have to think before using a particular color. I am in such a stage that it's almost automatic and I do not think. So, yeah, I mean, initially it takes some time and some practice to get to that stage, but eventually you will get there. I have used a very special color for this mountain. It's moon glow, and this is a beautiful color. When it dries, it leaves beautiful texture in the painting. And because I am adding a lot of splatters in this mountain, my splatters are going to places where I don't want. So you will see me parallelly working on removing or, wiping off those unwanted splatters from the sky part. Next off is the foliage in the middle ground. So the right side foliage is a little behind, and the left hand trees are a little bit forward. So on the right, I am using burnt umber and Payne's gray to give that dark foliage look. And towards the left, I'm using very bright colors, um, yellow ochre. I have sap green and some brown. So yeah. Did you notice that I have already deviated from the reference photo? So, this is what I do. I don't usually follow the reference photo, to the full extent. I take the shapes, maybe some color references, but not entirely. I mean, that's the purpose of it, right? It's a reference photo. So, yeah, we will create our own painting in our own style. I'm trying to build up these trees in this foliage. So I'm using the negative painting technique, wherein I paint the backgrounds in a darker shade so that the tree part or the positive area is highlighted. The foreground is very light, so I'm going over with some burnt sienna, burnt umber, and a bit of yellow ochre, and just adjusting the colors wherever I feel necessary. I feel this right hand side foliage is looking very dull and plain, like flat. So I'm adding few branches, few darker shades, and this area particularly it is looking very empty. So I'm using burnt umber and adding a pine tree here, just a light suggestion of a tree. I'm feeling like this mountain is again very dull, so I'm going over with a light glazing, a bit of Payne's gray, crimson, and a bit of burnt umber, very light shade. While you're doing glazing, please make sure that your surface is completely dry, because otherwise it will blot into the previous layer. My paintings will never be over without the grasses. Today I'm using burnt umber for the grasses and a few last minute details here and there in the tree, some branches. I'm using a Chinese brush for this last minute detail. The tip of the brush is really pointy and it helps me to add this few details. And with this, I think we are done with the painting. Let me know your thoughts about it, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye. Take care.